We dance as the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ices on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole, and it's always to bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Game. And the Ice Game is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. It's finally getting sunny. It's hopefully not going to rain anymore, but it's supposed to rain like next week. But anyway, with that being said, you need your grass cut. You need some flower beds mulch. You need some paper patios done. You need, I don't know, you got a fountain or something you want to put in the yard. Anything lawn and landscaping required, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it. Just give them a call at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. And when you either message them on Facebook or you call them, tell them you heard about it from Sports with Strawberry Ice. What is up to everybody in the chat? We've got Brad in there. Cap's in there. Oh, I gotta give him time here. Strangers in there first. Brad's in there. Natty's in there. Of course, Cap's in there. Jess is in there. Jerry's in there. And Scott, what's up, everybody? So we started a little bit earlier today because when you have a guest like Dan Hoard, you got to go when the man can join. But first, I'm going to bring my co-hosts on for today. They are the co-fans of the year. They are Bengals captain and Hooman. What's up, guys?
Hi.
How are you?
She's the real fan. I'm just here hanging out.
You're just a dude that hangs out with her?
Yeah. I'm lucky she keeps me around.
All right, well, let's get to another guy that we are lucky to have as our Bengals broadcaster. And as a Bearcat fan, I enjoy him on the Bearcat broadcast as well. He is one of a kind. He is the one. He is the only. He is Dan Hoard. Dan, what is up, my man?
How's everybody doing? Great to be back on the show, Iceman. This is the first time I have heard your new theme song, and I suspect I'm going to be humming it for the rest of the night. I think I have the strawberry ice earworm as a result of that intro. So I have a sister coming to town later today when we go out to dinner, and I am humming the Iceman theme song. I'll have to explain why.
You're like, what is that song? Like, oh, it's this great podcast this guy does. Yeah. No, that's AI, man. That people are like, how'd you get that song? Like, it's AI. I didn't.
I particularly like the line of strawberry ice will lead the throngs. Like that.
It's to be clear, it's throngs and not thongs. Let's just clarify that. Oh my goodness. So everybody's happy you're in here, Dan. And like I said, we are all very proud and privileged to have you as our broadcaster for the Bengals and the Bearcats. I think you do an awesome job. With that being said, we are less than 100 days away from getting this thing going, and I'm ready. I would love to get the transition thing out of the way, but as far as the Bengals offseason goes, how do you think it's been? I mean, do you think they've done enough? They do some more? They going to win the Super Bowl? What are they going to do, Dan?
Oh, sure. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah! I'm not talking about Dan. Let's go.
I know my audience. I think they did a lot. Could they have done more? Well, I wish the Trey thing was resolved. Obviously, I would like Shamar Stewart to start practicing ASAP. Hopefully, that'll happen this week. But the most important thing they had to do was extend Jamar and T, and they got that done. And it wasn't easy with the dollar amounts we're talking about. So, to me, by retaining those guys and also Mike Gesicki, they have virtually guaranteed they're going to be one of the highest scoring teams in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Now the defense just needs to be better. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to be top 5, but it can't be bottom 5.
Exactly.
If the Bengals can get the defense to somewhere between 10th and 17th or somewhere in that range, they will be one of the best teams in the NFL. And I think that is a very realistic possibility.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I keep trying to tell her, because some people are like, oh, well, we didn't really improve the defense. And I'll say this, Dan. The last couple of years, I haven't liked the Bengals' vision. I couldn't see what they're trying to do. I actually see what they're trying to do with this defense. They're trying to get, with Al Golden in there, get more out of the young guys that we've had our first and second round picks on. They spent a lot of money on that defense, and they're going younger. And when you spend as much money on the offense, you're most likely not going to spend as much money on the defense. So I understand what they're doing. I would rather than bring in, the pass rusher in, and but they didn't. But if we get Trey in there, I think we're going to be okay. It's just a matter of getting Trey in here. Cap, Jess, what do you guys got?
The problem for me is Dan Hoard's here, so he says exactly what I wanted to say, and he sounds and looks better doing it. Like, there's nothing left. I'll remind everybody again, the defense, we had a lot of injuries on the defensive line to start. The secondary got wiped out later. They made some adjustments late, and they started playing better. So I don't think it was as bad as it looked last year, which is going to play into this year. Knock on wood, we have better luck with injury. Every one of the young guys has got a little bit more experience. Jess was calling out Dan's, top 5 from camp, and talking about the fact that, hey, Chris Jenkins doesn't have to play with the club. There are a lot of good things going into this year to look forward to on defense, and like he said, they don't have to be top 5; they just can't be bottom 5 again. I think we're going to see that. Definitely echo. There's no beating around the bush on Trey and Shamar. Get Trey signed somehow, some way. Get Shamar in practicing. It's not ideal, but a lot of other good things happen.
Yeah. And getting back to the point that Ice made, over the last 4 years, if you look at the first 3 rounds of the draft, so first, second, and third round, first 2 days of the draft, 10 of their 13 picks have been on defense. It's time for those guys to step up.
Exactly.
And it's also time for those guys to play. Lou Anarumo made no secret of the fact that he wasn't necessarily comfortable playing rookies. And because of the money they're spending on offense, those guys need to play. The time is now for all of these guys that they've drafted in the first 2 days of the draft over the last 4 years. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what Miles Murphy can do with legitimate playing time. I'm excited to see what Chris Jenkins can do with the use of both hands. I'm excited to see what Dax Hill can do if he can stay healthy for an entire season. So the hope of improvement on defense begins with more playing time for those young guys. And then they have added some guys in recent years. TJ Slayton was a very important pickup this offseason.
I actually have a nose tackle now.
Yeah, he doesn't move the needle in terms of sizzle because he's not going to have a bunch of sacks. But we know this team has struggled to stop the run. And he's one of the better run-stopping defensive tackles in the league. And the new defensive line coach, Jerry Montgomery, knows it from working with him in Green Bay.
Right.
So I think there are plenty of reasons to think that the defense is going to be better. And I also think that Al Golden is an exceptional coach. He was great as the linebackers coach in 20 and 21. He did unbelievable work at Notre Dame over the last 3 years. Last year, number 4 in scoring defense, number 1 in takeaways, number 1 in defensive touchdowns. It'd be nice to see a few of those. So I really think that it's a good marriage between a coach who's accustomed to working with young guys and a defense that has young talent that needs to get the opportunity to shine.
Exactly. Jess, go ahead. I'll let you say something too. Go ahead.
And Dan, don't you think that with all of these guys who've been rookies in the past couple of years, with all of them stepping up under new leadership, don't you think that bodes well for keeping Trey? The fact that they haven't brought a lot of older guys, signed a lot of older guys, and that they're really kind of working on developing these younger guys with Trey kind of as the veteran leader. Don't you think that's kind of how they're setting it up?
We'll see. I think the thing that we all have to remind Bengals fans of all the time is that Trey is under contract for this year. He's not a free agent. I think it's overwhelmingly likely he is going to be lining up as the right defensive end in week 1 in Cleveland and spend at least one more year in a Bengals uniform. I hope they find the middle ground to extend it for 2 or 3 years beyond this season. We'll see if that happens. But I do think that the plan is to have the NFL leader in sacks as the leader on a defense that has a lot of young talent. So, yeah, I agree with your premise that is the plan going into this year.
And that's key right there. You said a lot of young talent. It's not like these guys aren't talented. They just haven't been given the opportunity to show what they could do. And I haven't played professional football, but I've talked to enough guys. The only way to get better at playing football is to play football. And if they're on the bench, like Miles has been the last couple of years and not getting the snaps, he hasn't got the shot to do or to showcase what he can do. So that's the part that I'm excited about. I love Sam Hubbard, but I would bang my head against this table last year that Sam kept playing. I'm like, let's see what Osai can do. Let's see what Murphy can do. We got to find that out. And this year we're going to. And another guy I'm excited about that Joe mentioned, and I mistakenly called him Darnell. I did it last week. It's Jermaine Burton. I'm excited about him, potentially what he could actually bring to this offense. We talked about T and Jamar and Mike Gesicki and Joe Burrow. You had Burton to this list. We might score 45 points a game. I know that's probably unrealistic, but I mean, we can score a lot of points even with Burton now. How has Jermaine been this year? Have you seen the difference between him from this year to last year?
Yeah, I like what I've seen so far, but we're a long way from the season opener in Cleveland. He's got to get through training camp, but so far, so good. It started during the 3 days of the draft. He was in the building every morning, working out, having breakfast. You didn't see those kind of things out of him last year as a rookie. He's been, from everything we've heard from Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow and others, he's been a total pro so far during these OTAs and the minicamp stuff that they do in the offseason. But it's got to continue. He's got to be a pro every day. He can't miss practices. He can't oversleep. He can't do some of the things that happened during his rookie year. You have to have a base level of trust from your coaches and teammates that you are going to be a total pro. And that's what was absent last year. But again, I've been encouraged by what I've seen so far.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I have a question. When you guys are up in the booth, do you ever see these two over here? The guy in the big orange suit. Do you ever see him up there screaming and yelling and stuff? You ever just go, what is wrong with that guy? Or man, that guy inspires me. I get really excited to see him jump up and down.
The captain knows how I feel about him. Much respect to the captain and the Hubei. I see them every home game. I know exactly where they are, right by the tunnel that leads into the Bengals locker room. You can't miss the jacket. You can't miss the hat. So much respect to the two of them and a well-deserved honor for being the fans of the year last year.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dan. I have to admit, when I heard your voice when we started the show, I almost got like a little emotional because I just associate your voice with my favorite team, and it's such an honor to be here with you today. But I love seeing you out and about and that training camp and all that. So I'm very, very thankful that you're covering this team.
I'm very thankful as well. Trust me. I've got the greatest gig in the world. Love living in Cincinnati. Hope to do it for many, many years to come. And I have, 3 dreams this upcoming season. Number 1, cure for baldness. Number 2, Bengals Super Bowl title.
Yes.
Number 3, Dave Lapham in the Ring of Honor.
Yes. That's
those are my 3 dreams for the upcoming year. Cure for baldness is probably unlikely, but Super Bowl title and lap in the Ring of Honor are very much attainable. And this will be his 50th year with the organization, 10 as a player, 40 now as a broadcaster.
Wow.
It's the perfect way to celebrate his silver anniversary by putting him up on the wall with the number 62 at Paycor Stadium.
Exactly. He was my vote this year. I voted for Lamar Parrish and Dave Lapham. I voted for Lamar Parrish every year. But yeah, Dave Lapham is well deserved. He's Mr. Bengal. I mean, you guys on the broadcast are just awesome. And sometimes, did you ever feel like you have to rein Dave in sometimes because he gets a little excited? And I love that about him. I think that you guys work great together with that, though.
Why would I rein that in?
Right.
That's what my audience loves, and I love it too. I say all the time, and I mean it. I get paid to do something that most people would pay to do, and that is sit next to Dave Lapham during every Bengals game and feed off that energy. So I love it. You all love it. Cincinnati loves it. We are very lucky that Dave Lapham made Cincinnati his home after playing for the Bengals.
And Brad is trying to help you out here. He says, Dan, I've been seeing commercials for hymns.
Oh my God.
Have for cure for baldness. So
don't listen to him, Dan. You pull off bald beautifully, and you do not need a cure for baldness. I'm here to tell you right now.
Perfectly shaped.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate it. Michael Jordan made it acceptable for bald men. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, MJ.
No, Dan, back to, you and Lap in the booth, I think is so great for Bengals fans because I listen to a lot of other teams' radio things because I have a Sirius XM radio subscription and I get to hear all 32 teams, all the broadcast, the home and away broadcast most of the time. And it's funny. It's really funny to me to listen to other teams' broadcast, and it's just such a difference. You guys just bring such a level of professionalism, but also I think that you guys, and you may not take this as a compliment, but believe me, I mean it as a compliment, but I feel like you guys really embrace the whole fan culture, the Cincinnati culture. And that's something that fans really latch on to. I think, you can get bad news anywhere. You can get doom and gloom anywhere. It's everywhere, but I feel like you guys bring a certain positivity that gets fans excited, and it makes us excited to spend our money and happy that we're following this team and things of that nature. So I definitely appreciate that about you guys.
Well, I do take it as a compliment. And honestly, it's not really anything calculated on my part. I am a glass half full person. I just tend to see the positive instead of the negative. That doesn't mean you ignore negative things as the broadcaster. When something bad happens, you obviously have to explain what happened and why, but my kind of daily default position is positive. So if that's something that stands out, that's a good thing in my view.
Yeah, leaning into the Bengals fandom coming on my show, I don't even know how this is like the fourth or fifth time you've come on. So, I mean, you don't have to give me the time of day. So I appreciate that. So we've had have an appreciation fest here for Dan Hoard, but we do appreciate you. I mean, we really do. We're not just blowing smoke because you're on the show. Because like I said, you don't have to come on my show. There's other guys that want you to come on theirs, and I appreciate you coming on. So I think you guys do an awesome job. And Lap for sure, I want to get that out there. Lap for sure should be in the Ring of Honor this year, and we'll hope that we get that done. Kat, do you want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw
Paul Hirons.
Paul Hirons just hopped into YouTube.
Oh,
Paul says hi, friends.
And Dan, it's funny. When I was thinking about this show today, I was remembering how you did their podcast when we went back in time. And that, to me, that was just like one of my favorite memories, even though you and I didn't interact directly with that. You were part of it. I had a very small part of it. So it was really cool that you did that on WHO DEY in the UK, the Bengals UK, Cincinnati is one of my favorite podcasts. So I appreciate the fact that you did that for my friend Paul and all of us who love Cincinnati.
Paul is the best. It's really cool that he is tuning in today. I was bummed that he wasn't able to take his place at the NFL draft in Green Bay, but you guys did an excellent job of announcing that pick in his absence. Hopefully the NFL recognizes the circumstances that didn't allow him to come this year and extends that opportunity next year, even though it'll be in Pittsburgh. Sorry, Paul, but hopefully he gets to make a pick next year since he wasn't able to do it this year.
I hope so too. Yeah.
So Dan, what has been? I've probably asked you this before, but what has been the best moment, and I guess maybe the funniest moment? I'll put it that way. We'll put it the funniest moment you've ever had broadcasting, either when you did on TV before you came to Cincinnati on Fox 19, or broadcasting Bearcats game or Bengals game or anything like that. What is like the moment that stands out to you that is the funniest or oh crap, I can't believe that happened moment you've ever had on your broadcasting career?
Iceman, that's the easiest question you have ever asked me in my various appearances on this show. It was when Chuck Mayshock, my broadcast partner on University of Cincinnati basketball games, the late, great Chuck Mayshock, got kicked out of an NCAA tournament game for yelling at the officials.
Yep.
It's the only time it's happened to a broadcaster in the NCAA tournament. And I did the last 16 minutes and 43 seconds of that game without him. So we had great fun in the years that followed. As you may remember, I ended every broadcast after that by updating Chuck's streak of consecutive games without being kicked out, which he was a great sport about. So that definitely is number one for the funniest / craziest thing that's happened to me in my broadcasting career.
I will never forget that, because I was actually working. I was doing gas line work for a contractor for Synergy at the time. And a lot of the guys I worked with were from Indiana and Louisville. They're out of towners, so they all gave me crap for being a Bearcat fan. They all called them thuggins and all this stuff. So my boss was keeping me updated. I don't remember who they were playing that game. Who were they playing that game?
Gonzaga.
There you go.
Salt Lake City in 2003.
Yeah. So he came up. He goes, yeah. Do you guys normally have broadcasters getting thrown out of your game? I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you just had your color commentator on the radio get thrown out. I'm like, what? It's like, what? So I was at work. I couldn't listen to it. We didn't have iPhones back then, so I couldn't listen. I had to find out later on. But you doing the date of how many games it's been since Chuck's got thrown out was awesome. And now you guys do the Chuck Mayshock struggle for the steak, which I know you guys, somebody asked in the comments if you guys did do the steak. I know you did do the steak.
We did. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, we went to the precinct and had the struggle for the steak dinner. It had been a few years since we actually did it. And as a result, during that time period, everybody had won. So in this case, the loser didn't have to pick up the tab for everybody else. We all owed each other steaks. So we split up the bill and we had a great night.
At least you got to do. What kind of steak did you get when you were there?
I had been about 2 weeks before for my son's birthday and had a Burrow. So I did not get the Burrow again, just to mix it up.
Right.
And I got slammed in the comments section. People were like, come on, Hoard, why didn't you get the Burrow? And I didn't want to get back and say, I just had one 2 weeks ago. You can't go wrong with anything that you get there, as long as you get steak. I don't think I'll ever be ordering the salmon, but it was spectacular, as it always is.
Yeah, Precinct is awesome, and his new place down by Fountain Square is unbelievable. We went there for my daughter's 21st birthday, and we just told them we were going there for our birthday, and they put us in our own private room where Dan, I feel like a daggone gangster. I mean, seriously, it was. I can't remember what the heck they called it, but you closed the door and you couldn't hear anybody out there. It was our own private room. They had the menus with a happy 21st on the menus for and everything. And we're like going, I didn't order the room. Like, no, the room comes. We gave it to you. I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm like,
I'm not paying for this.
Right. Kind of scary. I'm like, I love my daughter and everything, but not that much. Yeah. That might be a little much, but it was awesome. I mean, Jeff Ruby, that place, the Precinct and his steakhouse, they're two of the best. I think those restaurants, compared to anybody in the entire United States of America, those are two of the finest restaurants you'll ever. If you ever had a chance to go to one of them, I would definitely recommend you going. I know Cap and Hube, you guys have been there before too.
I've actually never been to the Precinct.
No,
I want to go, but I've been to Carlo and Johnny and Carlo. I forget which way it goes.
Carlo
but
first.
The one out on Montgomery Road, and we've obviously been to the one down by Fountain Square, and the one in Columbus we've been to a couple times. So
we've got a date with Ted Karras coming up.
Yeah.
So we'll check out Precinct for the first time.
Hey,
All right. Well, if you don't want to get abused in the comments section, make sure that one of you
He
gets
always
the
gets
Burrow.
the Burrow. Yeah.
I love the Burrow. It's this.
Burrow.
We've never been like in back-to-back weeks either. So I think if we did, he probably wouldn't get the same thing twice. Probably. I don't know, maybe.
The
All right.
Collinsworth is the lobster topping, right?
Yeah. I like the steak Collinsworth. I do.
I like lobster on my steak too. So,
See, I'm weird. I don't like seafood, so I just get the steak and I get the Burrow, and then I take the little crawdad off. But that's just me. I just don't like.
I usually make it into a finger puppet, depending on how many drinks I've had.
it's happened.
You see the video of that.
Like, oh.
All right, Dan.
Match made in heaven.
Yes, exactly. So, we talked a little Bengals. I do want to talk a little Bearcats here. And I think this is a crucial year for Satterfield, and go with West too, because neither one of them seasons have gone the way any of us wanted them to go. What's your feeling? I know West is basically blown to the basketball team, but we'll talk football here real quick. And I know Sat's got a lot of new recruits coming in. And I heard this offensive line from Neil Meyer is supposed to be as good as the Peach Bowl line and the
Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl. Thank you. Supposed to,
Cotton Bowl.
Cotton Bowl. Yeah, one of our better offensive
They've been
lines.
some good ones.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts of going into the Bearcat season this year with what Sat's got coming in?
I think they're going to be pretty good. But to me, offensive line is actually the biggest question mark on the team because they lost 3 guys that are in NFL camps. People know the name Luke Kandra from Elder High School, first team All Big 12 each of the last 2 years. I thought he should have been drafted. He wasn't. I don't know why, but he was immediately picked up by the Carolina Panthers. And they've got 2 other guys from that offensive line last year that are in NFL camps. So that's hard to replace if you're not, Alabama or Ohio State or Penn State, whatever. When you lose 3 NFL type offensive linemen, that's a big challenge. I do like the players that they have. They added the best available offensive tackle in the portal for any team in the country. So a tremendous job by the recruiting staff to get him to come to Cincinnati. They've got a 3-time captain at center. So they've got some good building blocks on the offensive line. But if I had to identify something that's a bit of a question mark, that would be it. But they've got a good quarterback in Brendan Sorsby. They've got a tremendous nose tackle in the Godfather, Dante Corleone. They've got a first-round draft pick tight end in Joe Royer. So all 3 of those guys could have gone somewhere else for bigger bucks in NIL. Joe Royer and Dante Corleone could have gone to the NFL and been drafted this year. The fact that Scott Satterfield and his staff convinced those guys to stay, I think, was really big. I would be surprised if this team does not have at least 6 wins and go to a bowl game this year, which I think, is a realistic expectation for year 3 under Coach Satterfield. And hopefully that's, the bottom end of the spectrum. Hopefully it's 7 wins or 8 wins or something like that. It's challenging now that they're in the Big 12, but I do think that this is going to be a bowl team this year.
Yeah, they were on the verge last year. They just needed one more win and just could not get it done. It was last 5 games were frustrating.
They got to 5 wins quickly and then couldn't get that 6th.
Right.
Well, the schedule got tougher down the stretch, but they also handed away a couple of games that they should have won. They had Pitt beaten. They were up by 21 points in the second half, lost the game. They gave away the West Virginia home game with some, shoddy turnovers that cost them that game. So they're capable of 7 or 8 wins, I think, and hopefully this is the year they get that done.
That sounds good. Now, we talked about the steak Burrow, and we talked about the Godfather there. Did you happen to have the Godfather? I think you were over at Bucketheads for the UC night. Did you get a chance to try the Godfather hamburger over there?
Damn right I did.
It's good, isn't it? It's good.
And I wasn't just trying it. I am a multi-time Godfather burger eater at Bucketheads on the west side. So, yeah, the thing that makes the Godfather to me, which it's kind of surprising that this is not more common, is the massive onion ring on top of the burger.
Yes, they're huge.
Simple concept, but rarely offered. So that's what sold me on the Godfather burger. And I know there's talk of a new version or a second Godfather burger or a Godfather menu item at Buckethead. So that's something to keep your eyes open for.
Well, I'll have to
Godfather
check
Part
that out.
2.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Godfather
go.
Part. Just don't make a Godfather
Father
3.
3. Yeah,
You know how that turns out.
Yeah, that one wasn't so good.
So
All
this
right,
is like
yeah.
this UC player. This is his menu item at this restaurant, or they just
They
it's
name
like
it
Yeah,
anything.
so it's an NIL thing.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So, originally when the idea of NIL came about, the thought was, we're selling these guys jerseys at the bookstore. They ought to get a cut. Or if they sign autographs at the local mall, they should get paid. And that all makes sense to us, right?
Yeah.
Well, very quickly, NIL became come to my school and we'll give you a wad of dough.
Right.
So, depending on how you feel about that, that's not what it was originally intended to be. But in Dante Corleone's case, he partnered with a local restaurant because his nickname is the Godfather to have his own menu item, the Godfather Burger, and he gets a small percentage of everyone sold. So, I think that's more in line with what NIL was supposed to be.
Yeah, it's the same thing goes with Cincy Light too. So you make sure you eat a lot of Godfather and
yeah.
you drink a lot of Cincy Light. So that all helps you see out there. Now let's roll back to the Bengals here because we're talking Bearcats. And Jess and Cat they're not Bearcat fans, so we'll bring it back to the Bengals here.
He didn't do well.
We root for
I
them.
know you root for
We
me.
both went to OSU though, so it's
Yeah,
a
which
little-
I know.
But I have a lot of friends that are Bearcats fans, and I love to see
And it
them do
wasn't
well. I
shade.
love it when the city is happy. I love all of that. So I'll always be happy to see them win.
Now, one thing I was going to roll back to the Bengals. I want to talk cornerbacks and DBs. Dax Hill, with him, I thought he looked really good. A little bit we saw him as an outside corner. Now he's come back from knee injury. We saw with Chidobe 2 years ago. It took a little while for him to completely recover from that. How has he looked? Do you think he's I don't want to say back to 100%. I don't think he's there yet. But is he on the way to recovering quicker, or should be on time to be ready to go full goal by the time the season starts?
He says he'll be good to go for the start of training camp. He's not doing anything yet, so I can't tell you how he looks, but his spirits are good. Everything seems positive from a medical standpoint. I think that that's going to be one of the most intriguing storylines in training camp because Mike Hilton is gone. You've got this obvious opening at slot corner. Dax Hill played a lot of slot corner in college, so it makes sense in one way to put him in that spot. On the other hand, before he got hurt last year, he was their best outside corner. It's one of the hardest positions to fill on an NFL team. It's very hard to find elite outside corners. So what do you do with Dax Hill? I'm inclined to start him on the outside and maybe look at Josh Newton and Jalen Davis in the slot.
That's what I'm thinking.
Then you've got Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, and Dax Hill battling it out to be the two primary outside corners with another guy waiting in the wings to get his snaps. But if those are your three best guys, do you get those three guys on the field together in some way, shape, or form? So I think that's going to be a really interesting storyline to follow during training camp.
Yeah, I think Dax is going to move. They're going to move him around a lot. I think he's going to be inside and outside a lot. I was really impressed with Josh Newton last year. Fig Newton, I thought he, for a 6th-round pick being basically just thrown in there because of injuries, I thought he stepped up and played very well. I'm looking for a big leap for him. And I really like him on the inside a lot, to be honest.
And that might be the way it turns out. Last year he got most of his playing time on the outside after DJ Turner got hurt in the Chargers game. And like you, I thought he did reasonably well for a guy who wasn't a super high draft pick, although had he come out the year before out of TCU, he probably would have been. But in any case, I thought he did reasonably well. I think he's going to play a significant role, whether it's in the slot, whether it's somebody who, rotates in certain packages. I know this about defensive backs, and I'll knock on wood as I say it, but that is the position that tends to have the highest injury rate. They're sprinting up and down the field on every snap. They're typically smaller guys tackling big guys. You don't go through a season without guys missing some games at that position. Hopefully no major injuries, but they're going to miss some time. So you've got to have depth at the cornerback position. And I do like the group of players that the Bengals have.
Exactly. Cap, Jess, you got anything on that?
I can't wait for the Cam Taylor-Britt comeback season. I guarantee he's going to be in much better form on the field. I can't wait.
Yeah, I expect him to go back to me. Like I said, I have a hard time not believing he was the guy we thought he was, because I just keep going back to that interception he made in Kansas City last year. You don't make that unless you're one hell of an athlete and you're in the right position. He was for both instances, so he knows how to play. I think he can get back to where he was. The one I am kind of concerned about is that they didn't address his safety. I wish they would have, which it still could. I mean, there's cuts and stuff. They could bring somebody in, but safety situation is, I like a little more depth there. But I also like the opportunity for my boy Tyson Anderson to hopefully maybe get a shot here, because we are talking about getting the younger guys in here. Does Tyson have a shot to get more playing time this year, you think, Dan?
You know, I talked to him recently for my podcast, and he definitely looked at the fact that they didn't draft a safety as a positive vote of confidence for him. It's really interesting that he has not taken a single snap on defense in a regular season game. He's played pretty well in preseason games at safety. I seem to recall a pick six as a safety in his rookie year. So I would like to see him get an opportunity. He's a tremendous athlete, great size speed ratio. It shows up all the time on special teams. He's one of the best special teams players in the NFL. It seems to me that he can contribute in, dime packages if he's not a starter at the safety position. So hopefully that's something that Al Golden is able to get out of him this year.
And Stone, I think he started coming around at the end of last year too. So I'm expecting a better year out of him as well. I mean, I'm honestly, we need a better year out of everybody on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we all know that. I'm not breaking any news here with that one. But I'll go back to the defense line, and you brought up TJ Slayton, and I think that's an underrated move this year. That I think he's going to be, not that he's going to be an impact as far as pass rush, definitely for run side, but I think he's going to be better for controlling two guys. Kind of quote, not what DJ did. There's only one DJ reader, but kind of back to that, where he can take on double teams, and that might free up some other guys to go to the quarterback, and he'll stay in his lane, and hopefully we'll see the quarterback run up the middle like we did a couple times last year. What's your thoughts on TJ Slayton?
Totally agree that it's an underrated move. And if you look at the best defenses in the NFL, all of them have that immovable rock in the middle of the defensive line. And the Bengals didn't really have that guy last year. McKinley Jackson might be able to be somebody like that, but he was hurt, didn't play a big role as a rookie. They needed that big 330-pound or bigger defensive tackle that just clogs everything up in the running game. And he can do that. And he's surprisingly nimble for a man his size. That's one thing that stood out to me in watching these guys over the last few weeks at the practices we've been allowed to attend. So I think that was a sneaky big acquisition for the Bengals this offseason.
Sorry. Battle a little bit of a cold here. Sorry. So
you're just hearing about TJ Slayton has you choked up.
Exactly.
That's how much you wanted a big defensive tackle.
Exactly. Well, today was a good day. I was going to go down to practice, but then I got sick. So I'll be back down there, Dan. I know you missed me down there. You haven't seen me in a while. So Natty Ron here said, Dan, I really like Fairchild. I honestly believe they got this pick right. Do you agree?
We'll see. They like him, and I trust Scott Peters' opinion. Scott Peters is raving about how they did some one-on-one stuff, and Fairchild is the strongest prospect he's ever worked out. I'm always a little bit nervous about throwing a rookie in there right away to start, even though I said earlier that the young defensive players need to play more. But I guess in Scott Peters, we have to trust. If they think that he's worthy of starting at left guard on day one and protecting Joe Burrow, hopefully he's right. But I think Scott Peters is a really impressive guy. And if he's putting his chips on Fairchild, then, I'm inclined to think that he knows what he's doing.
Exactly. Cap, Jess, you got something?
Ted Karras said that Fairchild is the exact type of offensive lineman they needed. He was apparently he was a little lower on Rutledge, and he's all in on Fairchild. He said he's a perfect fit.
Well, I respect Ted's opinion, obviously. So the combination of Scott Peters being so high on him and Ted liking what he's seeing so far is good. I thought it was cool that Ted, allowed him to stay there after he came to Cincinnati. So some good bonding opportunities for those two guys. And, now the next question is right guard and who's going to emerge to start at that position. I think it's likely to be Cody Ford or Lucas Patrick. And, again, with Scott Peters coaching these guys, hopefully it's an improved offensive line to protect Joe a little bit better than he's been protected so far.
Yeah, with his coaching style, I'm curious with the whole, and I hope it's not getting blown up bigger than it actually is, but the MMA background for him, I do think is a outside the box thinking that the Bengals usually don't do as far as their coaching staff goes. That it's a different way to do it, and MMA is all about leverage and everything, which is exactly what the offensive line is about too, is foot placement, hand placement, and leverage. And that's where I think hopefully he can make that big of a difference, because the Bengals are putting a lot of eggs in his basket and Al Golden's basket as far as improving the two things that we've been needed to improve from last year, the offensive line and the defense. So that's a little scary, but again, I understand what's going on with it. But do you think the MMA background is going to be a big difference from what they were taught before and then make a big improvement? Or I know you haven't seen a whole lot, but what's your thoughts on that?
It's very different from what they've done before. He's a hands specialist. So whether that's MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the other things he's got in his background, I'm sure some of it is applicable to offensive line play. But the thing that excites me, or the things that excite me about Scott Peters, it's two things really. Number one, the best offensive line coach in NFL history, or at least one of them, is Bill Callahan.
Yep.
Bill Callahan vouches for Scott Peters. He was his right-hand man in Cleveland, so that's good. And the best offensive line coach in Bengals history is Jim McNally, and Jim McNally loves Scott Peters, coached him with the Giants, has followed him closely ever since. So if Bill Callahan and Jim McNally says this guy is the real deal, then you can't have two better references in my book than those two.
Exactly. Cap, Jessica, anything?
Yeah, and it sounds like the players are really high on him too. Sounds like they're really impressed with everything he's been doing, even in OTAs, the detail and everything else that they've been going through. So I think that's cool to have a veteran like Patrick saying that about him. I think that really speaks volumes to somebody who's been in the league a while, honestly. So
totally agree. Lucas Patrick said last week, in his 9 years in the NFL, he's never worked with a guy more detailed at this time of the year than Scott Peters. So that's great. And look at Cordell Volson. Cordell Volson accepted a pay cut, at least in part because he thinks that Scott Peters can rejuvenate his career after being benched for a couple of games last year. So nobody likes to take a pay cut. We know that. But for Cordell Volson to want to work with this guy that badly, that speaks volumes.
Exactly. I'll get this up here from Mon. He's got a hockey question for you. He said, Dan, Edmonton Oilers or Florida Panther, who wins the Stanley Cup this year?
I'm rooting for Edmonton. I would like to see a Canadian team win.
Right.
It's been a while. So
1993.
For that reason, I'm rooting for Edmonton. I think Florida is probably the slightly better team, but I will push my chips into the middle of the table for Edmonton.
There you go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 1993, and it was the Montreal Canadiens. So that was my senior year of high school. That was a long time ago. So, it's been a while since one of the teams from Canada has won it. Let's see here. Natty Ron, we kind of touched on this. He was asking how Dan, how's UC football looking, and do you know anything about the new uniforms?
Don't know a thing other than they're coming. I have not been privy to any advanced artwork or anything. So I'm as intrigued as any Bearcat fan out there to see what they're going to bust out this year for new unis.
I love the basketball ones. I love the Black Cats. Those things are
were cool.
Those are very, very cool. I love that they went back to the old Kenyon Martin, style jerseys. Those are the best. We went to the 5-4 in back behind my shoulder, back those uniforms back there. But the Kenyon Martin style ones, those are always my favorite. So we have been on for about 44 minutes. Cap Jess, you got anything else you want to ask Dan that you've been dying to ask him before I let him go here?
What do you think about the new scouting hires? I was a little surprised to get that news in front of me, and me being the cybersecurity guy, they hired a data guy, a very young guy. I'm a little jealous, like
Why they hire
25
you?
years old.
They should have hired you.
So, number one, I'm expensive. Number two, I'm a different guy working. So I don't know that they would want me in the building in an employed role. I'm not easy to deal with. So, but yeah, so it kind of seems to me that they are leaning slowly, but more into that analytics, letting the data do a lot of the work. They might not have the largest scouting department, but they're up. They lost one. They're up two, plus a research guy who can hopefully be a multiplier of all those efforts. What do you say?
Yeah, I knew this was coming, so the announcement today didn't catch me by surprise. I am going to be interviewing the two new scouts tomorrow for my next podcast, so I'm looking forward to talking to both of those guys. As for the analytics guy, Sam Francis is awesome, but he was a one-man analytics department, and I think the Bengals looked at it as, you know what, this is something that we need to add to. Analytics are playing a bigger part in all professional sports. So it's good that Sam is going to have a right-hand man. I think without talking to them about it too much, one is probably going to concentrate more on NFL-related stuff, and the other will concentrate more on the draft and college prospects and things like that. I'm sure they will overlap some as well. So it's good that they're expanding that department. And again, I'm eager to get to know the two new scouts. I like their backgrounds. One won a Super Bowl ring with Seattle. The other guy has done everything. He's been a college coach. He has been a director of player personnel in some of these smaller leagues, the XFL and the AAF. He's been an NFL scout for Tampa Bay and New England. So a very interesting background for him. And I think it's going to be good to have some new voices and, 4 new eyes in the scouting department.
Now, heaven forbid, no one knows where to find this. Where can everybody tune in to hear those interviews tomorrow?
I don't know it'll get posted tomorrow. I'm doing the interviews tomorrow, but it'll be on the next Bengals Booth podcast, likely coming out on Wednesday or Thursday. The Bengals practice is open to the media tomorrow, so I will attend practice. I'm interviewing one scout before and one scout after. I'll do my 5 observations at some point tomorrow, and then I will put together a podcast that'll come out with these two new scouts either on Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, I might have to go on the bridge tomorrow. I miss you guys. I got to go down there. Mon's got a question here for you, Dan. Has any 2025 UDFA caught your eye?
A couple of them have caught my eye. So I tweeted about and podcasted about the wide receiver out of Duke, Jordan Moore, last week. I think he's looked pretty good. Now, again, they're not facing defenses. Let's wait until they get to training camp before we really, express strong opinions about these guys. But he's got good size. He seems fluid. He's caught everything that I've seen him, attempt to catch so far. And that's a position where the Bengals have typically done pretty well in the undrafted free agent world. Trenton Irwin, he didn't originally sign with the Bengals. He started out with Miami, but they picked him up. He obviously wound up playing a very significant role. Alex Erickson is still playing in the NFL, for gosh sakes, and he obviously started out with the Bengals. They have had other guys that have had moments. Kendrick Pryor's played a little bit. Kwame Lassiter got into at least one game as an undrafted free agent wide receiver. So Jordan Moore, I would say, is a guy that has kind of caught my eye. He would be at the top of the list.
Now, one question I want to ask you, and I know they've talked about this the last couple of years, and they talked about it a little bit last year, but it still didn't work. Getting off to a fast start is what I'm talking about here. And they talked more about the guys playing more in the preseason, and Jamar Chase came out last week, was talking to the reporters, saying, well, what we do the last couple of years, as far as going to the Super Bowl and AFC Championship game and all that, but we never got off to a fast start. He kind of went back, well, maybe we need to play in the preseason. What's your thoughts? I know Zach has said they're going to play more. Joe wants to play more. I know Jackpot Joey said he wants to play in the preseason. And your thoughts. How much do you think they'll play? How much more do you play? They'll play in the preseason this year.
They're going to play a lot more, but largely because they barely played at all.
Yeah,
so when you go from 0 to something, it's going to be noticeable. I really think this comes down to the definition of insanity. You can't keep doing the same thing and hope for a different result. Honestly, I don't know if the slow starts have anything to do with preseason snaps. I really don't. And when you look at how Zach Taylor's teams have finished seasons, I think what he's done does have something to do with that. They tend to be healthier and fresher late in the season than a lot of the teams they're playing against. So you don't want to mess with that. But on the other hand, you can't start out 0-2 again. So you've got to mix something up. This is one of the things that they're changing. There are other things as well that won't be as obvious to most of us. But that is one obvious area where they're going to try to do something different in hopes of getting a different result. And, let's all hope and pray that nobody gets hurt as a result, because that's why they haven't done it. You're trying to avoid injuries as much as humanly possible in a sport where it's inevitable that you're going to lose some guys. So hopefully it doesn't happen with increased preseason snaps.
Yeah, I was watching Cincinnati Sports Show last night, and Joe Damon and Jamie Rao were talking about this exact same thing, that we all believe they're going to play more, but you just can't have Jackpot Joey or Uno or T get hurt. That just cannot happen. And I'm not saying we got to start to 3-0. Like you said, not 0-2. At least be 1-1. Because I agree with you, Dan. When November hits, this team is on a different level than most any other team. And it's happened even the last couple of years, even that we didn't make the playoffs. We still got on that trajectory toward making the playoffs. We got so far behind the 8 ball, I think it hurt us more. So that's where we got to try to keep it a little closer there. But with that being said, Dan, I know you got to go to dinner with your sisters in town. I don't want to keep you any longer than I have. You've been over 51 minutes. I appreciate you coming on. You got the Bengals Booth podcast. Anything else you got coming out that you want to plug before I let you go?
Not really. I also do a podcast for UC, the Let's Rain podcast. That's a video cast in addition to being an audio cast. We don't have any new episodes coming up anytime soon, but if you're a Bearcat fan and haven't checked that out, keep an eye open for the Let's Rain podcast. That's been fun to get involved with since the beginning of last year.
And I love the jacket too, the Cincy Range jacket you got. That is awesome.
Cincy Light.
Cincy Light. Sorry.
The Cincy Light red jacket is glorious.
It is.
I always use the word glorious in describing it. The partnership with Cincy Light has been a lot of fun. I appreciate them using me to promote the brand, and the jacket is tremendous.
It's a good beer. I'm not a beer drinker, and I love Cincy Light.
I've been known to drink beer. It's good. It's good. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's really good. And honestly, I am a beer drinker, but haven't really been a big light beer drinker in recent years since some of these hoppier IPAs have come out. I've been sampling a lot of those, but I love Cincy Light, legitimately love Cincy Light. And now when I'm out and about and you don't want to have anything with, really high alcohol content if you're going to be driving or something like that, Cincy Light has become my beer of choice. And I'm happy that a lot of others agree.
Exactly.
It has a lot of flavor for a light beer, honestly.
It does. So. Totally agree.
And Cincy Light, if you want to, sponsor my podcast, since you're giving us free advertising, just email me sometime. Dan, I appreciate it, man. Hopefully I will see you maybe tomorrow if I make it down there. I don't know, but I know I'll see you down there sometime. But I appreciate everything you do. Thank you again for coming on the show, and WHO DEY.
You're the best, Dan.
Good to see all three of you. Have a great night. Thanks.
See you, Dan. All right, that was pretty cool.
He's awesome. He's so awesome.
Dan,
so much.
Dan is the man. Hold on, let me get my screen right here.
Yeah, you were like presenting us with you.
I know. I was trying to get to the other one I like.
I mean, I love him because he's intelligent. He's like, oh goodness, where we go? He's intelligent. He's funny. He's very good at what he does as far as delivery. But he's very approachable. He's very real, and just a all around amazing guy. Like he is celebrity status, and
he don't act like it. Like I said, dude, he's been on my show. I'm not exaggerating. This is probably the 4th or 5th time he's been on my podcast, and he doesn't have to. And I know he gets asked, pulled in 50 different directions and do all kinds of different stuff between the Bengals and the Bearcats. And for him to give me the time of day is awesome. And every time he sees me, he's like, Iceman, what's up? He knows who I am. So that's like, I always think that's
there was someone that wanted to meet him, who was a great person and very long-winded. And I brought him over because, he'd never met him. And I think I warned him that he can be long-winded just because you know who your friends are and who.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
And I glanced over quite a bit later. There Dan was still talking to him. Could have left. He stood through.
He's very generous with his time.
Very generous, incredible, genuine. Just we are very lucky to have.
Exactly. Him and Dave Lapham were awesome. I love listening to him and Jim Kelly on the Bearcat football broadcast, and him and Terry Nelson do a great job on the basketball broadcast. And that's the thing is like Dan works with 3 different guys. All 3 of them have different personalities and different ways to how they deliver what they're saying on the radio. And he works with all 3 of them flawlessly. So, I mean, like I said, I've said this where Dan Hoard could be, and probably should be, I don't want him to because I want to keep him here. Could be a national broadcaster. He could be up there with Joe Buck and all these guys that do, ESPN.
I guarantee you he's had opportunities he's turned down. I guarantee you he has. I would be very shocked if he hadn't. And because I think he loves what he does. I think he loves being in Cincinnati. And I think that's why he comes off so genuine, because he is so genuine. And that's why he really resonates with fans. And I probably didn't do a good enough job of explaining it because I didn't want to offend him in any way. But, you hear all the time that there's no cheering in the broadcast booth. You shouldn't be a fan of the team you're professionally covering. And I'm sorry, but I think that is crap. I think that is absolute crap. I don't think that's what the fans want. I don't think that that's what anyone wants. And maybe unless you're just some stiff, like old person that wants to hear just the facts and only the facts. And maybe if you disagree, if you, agree with my terrible opinion, I'm going to like you. And I don't know. I just feel like we're spending money with the team. We love this team. We want this team to do well. We want to listen to somebody who's excited and who tells us why we should be excited. And that's to me why I love Dan and Dave so much.
He didn't sugarcoat that we still don't have Trey signed. It's not cool. It's just there's a difference in saying that, that's obviously not the place we want to be in that situation. But then talking about everything else too. Or we could spend a half hour talking about how much that sucks. I get my censor button warmed up. We can bleep out every other word. That's just, I agree with him. That's not the way I want to be. I don't know why he's that way other than just being a generally amazing person. He's practically Superman as far as radio and everything goes. For me, I grew up, my ADD, I tend to, my brain hyper focuses on the negative. Like I worry my brain.
It's easier to go negative. That's why I think people get irritated with me sometimes because I try not to be.
my brain just goes to the worry and sits there, and I have to recenter myself. Like, okay, take a breath, look around. Everything is great. And it's just now on medication, on Adderall, it's easier for me not to go there. But that's where I learned to become more positive. So it's not that I don't see. It's not that Dan ignores anything. He addresses it all. Head on. It's just, you know what? It is not the end of the world.
Right.
We are still going to cheer for the team. We expect Trey to be out there. Trey has said otherwise. He may not be out there. But you know what? Trey or no Trey, we're going to be out there losing our ever-loving minds, chanting "WHO DEY" and yelling defense. Like, that's what we do.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is people, some people are kind of getting so, oh, my goodness, we didn't do enough on the defense side of the ball. So I was like, but last year we kept complaining they wouldn't play the young guys. So I honestly think this team is going to be better. Is it a better shape this year than it was last year? Because, I mean, we didn't lose Jamar. We didn't lose T. We still have those guys for the next 4 years. Those Joe, Jamar, and T aren't going anywhere anytime soon. We don't have to worry about that. Yes, we have to worry about Trey, but it's not. I'm not saying it's not as big a deal. It is, but it's not Jamar and T. And I think the team in general is in a better position going into this training camp than they were last year. And we don't have to worry about Joe coming back from an injury. Now, hopefully he makes it through training camp. Yeah, I know. Knock on everything.
We're not even started yet, Jeff.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I'm not saying anything about that stuff.
Right. But I'm just saying, just for June 2nd, 2025, we're in a better position than we were last year. So I think it's going to be – I think it's going to be a fun season. I really do. I
agree.
And if you can't think it's going to be a fun season now, you're like, oh, my goodness, they didn't do anything in the offseason. They didn't do that. Go watch another team. You know? I mean, that's just if you can't be positive in June, when can you be positive, you know?
Well, Jeff, you know as well as anybody that people just like to be mad about stuff sometimes, and there's nothing you can do about that. But
it's true. Well, I want to say
while you're
talking about Jess, what you're talking about Jess with the national broadcasters. I don't think national broadcasters they can't be homers, but everybody's home broadcaster, they should be homers because you're getting paid for the team.
No, there was that big uproar about that girl who was covering a college team. There was this huge backlash because she was excited that her team, she's a college student. And there was this huge backlash, no cheering in the broadcast booth. There was this whole thing on Twitter that I saw. And I've heard it from multiple people, unfortunately, that is the attitude of a lot of radio and TV and, other people. But that's why I gravitate towards people like Dan and people like Colleen Wolfe and people who aren't afraid to be unapologetically fans of their teams. I think that is endearing. I think that is a good quality in somebody. That's somebody that I want to listen to, even though Colleen Wolfe is an Eagles fan. I like the fact that we know she's an Eagles fan. I love that. I love the fact that we know that Cynthia is was she a Lions fan or Bill? I can't remember.
Lions.
I think I wanted to say Lions was my first.
Jay might be a Bengals fan. We love it.
It's just like I like seeing that part of people's personalities. I think that makes them more entertaining and more endearing.
And speaking of our local beat writers here and podcaster, Kelsey Conway tweeted out today that she is going to be on Good Morning Football, I think this Thursday. So that's kind of cool.
Did something change with her? I feel like suddenly it's okay to be Kelsey Conway. Where
I don't get the whole hate for her.
Well, I mean, I totally understood because I saw the bias coming out of the stuff. Like I saw it clear as day. I didn't take it on because I remember when Ben Baby was picking at us, little snarky jokes, at the Bengals' expense. I called that out and I got absolutely railed, but yet he softened his tone. Now, I'm not saying it's a direct result of, but once he got back to, okay, you don't have to be so angry against the team. Fans don't want to read jokes about their own team. Right. You can just report.
Right.
His following picked up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh wow! I actually started following more of his stuff and reading more of his stuff. Yeah. But the Kelsey stuff and the contract things, and it seemed like she always had that agenda, but it seems like that's dropped off.
Yeah, she changed a little bit, but like I said, I'll just give it her props because she's gonna be on one of our local ones. Gonna be on Monday morning or Monday. NFL football. I can't think of the name of the show.
Good. Hey, people could change, whether it was local pressure or her bosses. Good. You see the light and you understand that there's a better way to do it. Exactly. Awesome. I want to shout out a Crypt. Miss Jessica, maybe next time Cap will let you sit in the good chair when Hoard's on the program.
No, my chair's the good chair.
Well,
pick the chair.
Although the height might not have been as bad, the difference. So actually, Crypt, I appreciate you for calling me out because we might try that next time. And then Chris is like, did Cap just prescribe me some Adderall?
No.
If it were safe and legal, I would. No. Because I think Adderall is a miracle drug. No. I would. I really would.
But because he doesn't have a medical license.
If it was safe and legal, I would.
He'd just be handing it out like candy.
This show. There's no medical.
We are not doctors. We just play one on podcast.
He's trying to speak for me. I would. I'm saying I would.
All right, so Jess, since I got you on the show, I want to ask. I got to talk to Cap about the fan of the year experience. I haven't got a chance to talk to you about it lately. How was it? What was your favorite thing to do? And just in general, just give me some stories about your weekend in Green Bay.
Oh, Green Bay. Yeah, Green Bay was a lot of fun. We were staying in a lodge that was also a water park that was also a taxidermy museum. So
Really?
that was interesting. But the cool part is that we were within walking distance of Lambeau Field, and even though it did pour down rain one day, it was a lot of fun being down there in Green Bay. Green Bay is a really, really cool town. If you haven't been, I really encourage everyone to try and go at some point in their lifetime, if not this coming season, just anytime. If you ever have time to go to Green Bay, I think any football fan, it should be on their bucket list because there is just so much history there. There's an amazing museum there. They do tours. You can go to the museum anytime. You can schedule tours. I know I was talking with Dusko with fans of Cincy, and he's going to make sure that there's a tour on the agenda for his for the group that he's taken up there with fans of Cincy. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you're hitting them up. But anyway, so Green Bay is great. I love it. We went in, was it 2017? We went to the Sauna Bowl.
2019?
No, it was 2017.
That was the first year that I ever wore the suit.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think. I don't know, but it was either 17 or 18. I know it wasn't the same year we went to the UK. It was one of the other opposite years. But anyway, that was such a fun time. We got to do the whole experience then. So we didn't do all the things during the draft weekend because there was just a lot of people there and a lot of stuff going on. But we had done it already before, so it's a lot of fun. But it was really cool. I got to go backstage and see where they press the jerseys before they hand them. So I actually got to be on stage and hand the jersey to the commissioner for Shamar Stewart, and that was really cool because they do so they have this room in the back, and it looks like a closet. It looks like a closet with all 32 teams jerseys in it, and they have all the names like pre-printed out on vinyl, and so it's like if it's somebody whose name they've already printed out, they'll like press the jersey really quick so they can hand it out because they pretty much know who the first rounders are going to be.
Right.
So they have all these names and numbers ready to go, and then they press it real quick back there. So they have these two big heat presses, and they press two jerseys, and whichever one looks the straightest is the one that gets to go. And then, but the cool thing is that, Cap and I collect a lot of cards. We're big card collectors.
Yes, Cap showed me his addiction. He showed me his addiction to cards.
So a lot of times you can get really fancy cards that have like pieces of a jersey in it or something like that. That's what they do with the leftover jerseys. They make them into cards. So I thought that was a really cool little fact, and that was a lot of fun for me to be back there and get to see the heat presses, and they let me push the handle, and then I got to take it to Mr. Goodell, and it was a lot of fun. So that was really cool. And then of course reading the pick on stage was really cool too. I was really sad that Paul couldn't have been there. I would have given up that entire stage experience. I would have given that all up to have had Paul there with us and to have him do it, because that was supposed to be his moment. So I hope that we did him justice, but that was supposed to be his moment. So I am very much aware of that, and we just tried to do the best we could with it. But it was a great honor to do it in his place.
How was the NFL honors? And I won Joe Burrow won his award. I swore it was that dude right there yelling, but apparently it wasn't.
Great because haters were trying to say
everybody.
I said, I think I hear Cap. I tweeted it out. I thought it was you, but it wasn't.
Hey, I love it.
People were texting me. Jerry texted me. Was like, I just heard Cap's voice. I was like, no, you didn't. We're like sitting on the ceiling. We were in the rafters, basically.
That's where it sounded like it was coming from way in the back.
No, the NFL honors was a lot of fun. Honestly, the whole Super Bowl experience was a lot of fun. Green Bay was great. That was awesome. But the whole Super Bowl experience was so much fun. Being in New Orleans, I love New Orleans. And it was a really fun time. There was the NFL honors, they had really good little appetizers that they kept passing out to people. And that was a lot of fun.
Who was the coolest person you met that you didn't know before?
What?
So who was the coolest person you met that you didn't meet before? You met for the first time there. Who's
Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Did him and Cap exchange beards?
Yeah.
That photo is one of my favorite.
So Ryan Fitzpatrick walked in. So that every team has a house that they kind of rent out. That's kind of like almost like a venue that they rent out for the day or for the week. I'm sorry, for the Super Bowl. And so the Bengals had their Bengals Bayou house. And how are you? Thanks for stopping by. But so the Bengals had their Bengals Bayou house, and they had this really cool day where Kay Adams was leading this panel, and Ryan Fitzpatrick was there, and Andrew Whitworth was there. And obviously, we've met Whitworth before, but I'd never met Ryan Fitzpatrick, like one-on-one, met him. And he walks in, and they had like lunch and everything put out for us. And there was this I was eating this giant turkey sandwich. And I take a big bite of this sandwich, and then he walks in, and I look up at him, and I was like.
Or perfect timing.
I don't even remember what I said, but I said something very stupid, probably about my sandwich. But anyway, that was really. I was really glad to meet him. He was a really, really nice guy. I appreciated him coming out and being there for that event. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, the whole thing in New Orleans was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was the house.
Yeah, they had a pool that we weren't allowed to swim in, but
you weren't allowed.
I mean, nobody else.
Well, it was more of a decorative.
It was like a decorative pool. I don't really know. It had like I don't know. But also the Burrows were there and the Chases were there. Like it was just a lot of really awesome people there. So they were making cigars. The man like rolled one and handed it to me. I think I tweeted about that, but
nice.
Yeah. It was really fun. No, the Super Bowl was a really cool experience. And honestly, as much as I hope the Bengals win every single Super Bowl from now until eternity, it was kind of nice that the Bengals weren't playing because it took a lot of pressure off of us. Like LA was fun, but I remember just being very nervous, about the game and everything else. And it was nice to just be able to enjoy the environment and without the pressure of the game. And then seeing the Chiefs get whipped was amazing.
Awesome.
So that gave me a lot of joy seeing the fans all pissed off. And
Chris wants to know if he called a Bengal podcast, but it's Tigers Talk coming back sometime soon.
Oh yeah, no, we're coming back. We'll be back. We usually we didn't do our draft episode this year just because of schedule. I mean, schedules were just
you were in
nuts.
town.
Yeah, around the draft time. So we will definitely be back for once spring training gets really good, or not spring training, once training camp gets going. Sorry, I'm still in Reds mode. Once training camp gets going, we will do some recap. And then once the preseason starts, that's when we'll start the weekly shows again. So we'll be doing weekly stuff once preseason starts. And yeah.
I like Natty Ron here. We're going to win 60-62 Super Bowl. I believe 62 is in LA. I don't know if it is or not. No, you guys are muted. Or I can't hear you. One second.
There we go.
Okay.
Is that working?
That's better. All right, guys. We've been on for an hour and 12 minutes. I appreciate both of you coming on. Do you guys have any more fan of the year stuff you get to do here? Or
I don't know. We don't know. Yep.
I haven't told you anything?
Not that I know of. Nope.
Yeah. All right. Well, either way, what was I question for this. What was the coolest part that you guys got to do this year? Was it being the rule of the jungle? Was it going to the draft? What was it? What was the coolest part?
No idea. We got a lot of content. We still have to put out videos to just summarize it all. It was all amazing.
The funnest part with me was surprising you guys on the boat. That was the funnest part. And then when I got there, they told us that Jess was winning too, and she didn't even know it. I'm like, oh, this is even better.
Yeah, I was very surprised. They really pulled off that surprise because I was
hashtag double cross.
Double cross. I was double crossed. Yep.
Double cross. Everybody's like, why are you guys doing hashtag double cross? Like, you'll find out. You'll find out. All right, guys. I appreciate it. You want to promote anything, to do Twitter or anything like that before I let you go?
Yeah. Well, I'm the Hubei on Twitter and Instagram, and I still have a TikTok. I don't really post much on TikTok anymore, but I'm obvious Hubei, I think, on TikTok. But my YouTube channel is Tigers Talk. So please like and subscribe and follow that. We'll get things going here. It's me and my best friends, Jerry and Kayla, and sometimes Bridget and sometimes Whitney. And it's just a lot of fun. So we kind of have our own spin on things. We do our own take on things. We try and keep it a little different, but so check us out. That'd mean a lot.
Exactly. Captain,
Yeah.
final words.
I agree with I agree with Esther. One of the coolest things about the offseason was meeting her. 100%. She is amazing.
Where'd you meet her at?
Some guy's birthday party.
Some randos.
Weird. Yeah, 50th birthday party.
Wow.
I'm not that old yet.
I'm kidding. To me, you're 30. So
Yeah.
hey.
I feel 50.
Other than that, you can find me on onlyfans.com/Bengals Captain. WHO DEY.
See you guys. Appreciate you. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Cap and Jess are awesome. I'm so happy they got co-fan of the year this year. Thanks to them for joining the show. Thanks for Dan Hoard joining the show. Like I said, this is I'm not even lying. It's 4th or 5th time he's been on my show. So, and that's not me touting off. That's just thanks to Dan for coming on my silly show here. So I appreciate him, and I appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for watching. I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You can follow me on all those, along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. I will be pulling the sound off later on tonight. Hopefully, Spotify will let me put it up there. But if it's up on there, it'll be up on the podcast, which you can follow that on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment and a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. And, of course, shout out to my awesome sponsors of the show, which you can see them all down here at the bottom. But let's give them a big screen here. We got Priority Lawn and Landscaping. The sun is out. It's going to start to get warmer. You're going to want to get some more landscaping issues done. Maybe you want, a paver patio, or you want some really cool landscaping done in the front of your house or the back of your house, or maybe you just want your grass nice and green and you don't want to cut it. Like I said, anything lawn and landscaping related, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it. Give them a call. 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. And when you do, call them or message them on Facebook. Tell them you heard about them from Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, the show is brought to you by T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And, of course, Meyer Window and Doors and more. You check them out, their website at MyersCincinnati.com. You need windows. I'm telling you, these are some of the best windows I've ever had in my house. I've had 2 houses. That's the second one I put windows in, and these are awesome. They're energy efficient, beautiful looking windows. Matty Myers and Nate do a great job running that. You can get Matty to come out, and you can meet the Jackpot Joey. You can see the Jackpot Joey mobile. You can talk to him about Jackpot Joey. You can talk to him about windows. You can talk to him about Bengals. You can buy windows from him. You can buy doors and more. I'm not sure what the more is yet, but talk to him about it. Find out what the more is. It's Meyer Windows, Doors, and more. MyersCincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. All right, boys and girls, it's been fun. Tomorrow I'll have Joe Farsi on, and I'm going to have Al. I got to make sure I always mess his name up. I'm going to mess his name. I've had him on the show before. Why can't I say his name now? He's got a new book coming out. The details are, let me bring it up here real quick before I totally mess this all up. Cincinnati Soul is his new book. I think it's about the Negro League, and then my computer is not wanting to work right now. So we will be talking about his new book, Cincinnati Soul. And why can't I say Al's last name right now? For some reason, Al, if you're watching, I apologize. For some reason, I cannot say your last name. I don't know what is going on in my brain. But check us out tomorrow. We'll be talking some baseball. I got some more great guests coming up. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, share, all that cool stuff. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, please go to YouTube. Hit the subscription button for YouTube. Get that up. Hit the likes on there. That also helps all the algorithm. Share it out to everybody because, like I said, I can't get any of this without you guys. I appreciate you guys. And other than that, I think that's it. WHO DEY for life. Throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Weekday nights, the city roars. Now turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ices on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse that's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy,